All right, y'all. Sorry about that. I was so into writing the story that I almost lost track of time. I'm going to get the word out and we are going to get this fired up, whether the room gets filled or not. Welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. I'm your host, Kalari GXC. Getting the word out on Spoutable, then we are going to get this party started. It has been a crazy week. For those of you who haven't known, I did a giveaway last Saturday. I'm going to do a little mini one tomorrow as well, just to thank people for getting me well over 1K and getting me to 3K. I am just so grateful to the YouTube community for accepting me, accepting my quirky ways of dealing with things. But as you know, on Friday nights, we talk to politics, we talk to social issues, we talk the Bonnet Chronicles. And like I said, Tell It Tuesdays will be back later on in June after kiddo's graduation. I can get the area set up for me recording from there, and I'm excited about that. But for tonight, we are going to get right into it. As you see, there's a little cartoon that I brought up from Spoutable that pretty much encapsulates my feelings on a lot of things. It says, you may consider it cancel culture, but it's well past time your cultures were canceled. And the reason why I bring this up is because so many people, and I'm going to get to a lot of them later because there's a lot of weird conspiracy theories for what's going to go on Monday going down. So many people want to hold on to hate. So many people want to hold on to using their differences in ethnicity. Because I like to remind people we're all humans here, humanoid, human features, we're all humans here. And until the AI overlords take over, we all bleed, we all breathe, we all pretty much function the same, whether we're male, female, or non binary. But there's always these groups that want to keep us divided and fighting with each other and hating on each other. And they always complain about cancel culture. One of the heifers I call out, because she's had a past with bigotry, loves to say, oh, I'm being canceled again, or I'm being canceled. You're not being canceled. People are just not down with the shit you say, especially in this day and age if you're going to be a raven bigot. Now, I want to get started tonight on some of these wild ass news articles because it has been a crazy week as usual. And we are going to get started with my old hometown in New York. Mayor Adams is in charge, and they're trying to get New York more tech friendly as it is. And they already have a lot of stuff going on, from e-bikes to booths where you can charge stuff. More gas stations in NYC are electric powered car friendly now too. So I wouldn't be surprised, and nobody should be surprised, that they're incorporating a lot of interactive AI features into the city stuff. And like I said, when I went to visit, it wasn't as ingrained. But even in DC, a lot of the cabs, and in New York, a lot of the cabs had those voiceover things where either celeb or a more robotic voice would like greet you and tell you stuff about the city. So I'm not shocked that New York has an AI chatbot to deal with questions on the city's website and stuff, but it's doing dirty. And you shouldn't be shocked because I think a lot of the people that installed it don't really understand things that go on with these AI chatbots. It's not well monitored or regulated. And somebody who loves tech to the point where I wrote science fiction based on the tech organic merge, as I like to call it, it made me tickled. This article by Reuters. Welcome, Beans. Oh no, it's okay. Chat is weird because I keep switching between this and YouTube. And until I can figure out Streamlabs, which I'll probably use for YouTube, I, things get all wonky when I transfer back over. And it'll probably be a little bit like that tomorrow when I go back over to the YouTube credentials. And there's old Mayor Adams, who decided that he would use a chatbot. But the problem with the chatbot is that when you're like a landlord or business owner and you go and you ask some questions, chatbot will advise you to do things like cut your employees' pay, make them work certain hours under the table, which is a no-no. take tips, which is a big illegal a no-no. You do not want to take tips from your employees. I'm pretty sure there are labor laws against it. I do not understand why their chatbot wouldn't understand that, but you know, it's New York. Sometimes mistakes are made. Eric Adams went on record, and of course, Reuters had to remind everybody he's a Democrat, like Democrats aren't allowed to fuck up. It's wrong in some areas, and we've got to fix it. Understatement. I feel like the fact that not telling employees of schedule changes is a big red flag. Telling employers they can take tips are a big red flag. The fact that they think that it's okay to ban stores from accepting cash, which is no. You're still going to have a lot of old school New Yorkers who pay in cash. Now, I do dream of a day where I can open the shop for people of not only just low income, but people in general who don't like to carry money, where EBT is not frowned upon, where people can come and shop in peace, get what they need for their house and home, and keep it pushing. Because we have had way too many people shame people's income levels and stuff in our country. And I know that when I was a kid, it was still prevalent. And it was a lot worse because you didn't have, like, I think they said they use a debit card and stuff. And I feel like a lot of people would have more confidence shopping and doing stuff if there were stores that were more tied to payments. But I don't think it should be the only payment because there are going to be some people who die hard need cash in their hands. My husband's one of them. I laugh at him all the time because I just use my debit card or my credit card. I don't like having paper money on me. Maybe it's because before we got together, I lived by myself with kiddo for a few years, and I didn't want the chance of being robbed. And if somebody robbed me, I could easily make a quick phone call and shut both down. But after watching true crime, I realized that a lot of motherfuckers would just kidnap people and make you use your ATM card. So it was a no-win situation, but I still don't like carrying paper money on me anyway. The germs. It's just too much germs. But Microsoft, who runs ChatGPT, declined to say what might be causing the problems, but said in a statement that it was working to fix it. The city's Office of Technology and Innovation said in a statement, as soon as next week, we expect a significant migration and accurate answers. So I don't know why my city does this. You roll out stuff without testing it. You know, people are constantly going to the New York City website to ask questions because it's easier than trying to get through on the phone line for it. And instead of properly testing and making sure that ChatGPT won't go off the rails, they just roll it out. And then people want to blame AI. I seen this stuff on robotics earlier too, and I might do a special on that where people are already like, "Well, there goes our jobs," or "Oh, I want to fuck it." So that's us humans in a nutshell. Can we fuck it or fuck with it? Seems to be how we view technology, and I just don't get it. But I did want to laugh just a little bit at it before we got to some serious topics, like this one. You know that I am not going to stop going hard on what's going on in our country in regards to safe voting and making sure that voter safety, absentee ballots especially, are respected. As somebody with mental health issues, especially after the pandemic, I was grateful to my state for offering permanent absentee ballots for people who want to vote but do not want to risk getting the sickness from being in poll lines, don't want to risk ourselves, period. Especially now that I've moved to a really upper, more rural area of my state. People are somewhat nice here than they would be in Alabama, but there's always that looming fear of dealing with somebody who isn't so friendly, somebody who's blatantly wearing pro MAGA gear while I'm just trying to vote. So I am grateful that my family and I can use the absentee ballot, but apparently in Alabama, getting help when you're physically or mentally handicapped are being challenged by the state. And it's often the people who are handicapped who need these absentee ballots so that their voices are heard. And this is just another GOP tactic to harm voter security. Yet we keep electing these clowns to restrict us. And it doesn't make sense. They said Montgomery, Alabama, an Alabama law that criminalizes certain types of assistance, just like Georgia criminalized giving out water and stuff to people on long ass ballot lines, is being challenged in court by groups who say it turns civic and neighborly voter engagement into a serious crime. So let's say you're an elderly or physically handicapped or even a mentally handicapped person who wants to vote. You're 18 years and older, you live in the state of Alabama, and you need to vote, but you might not understand the ballot. You might not physically be able to fill out the ballot. Normally, they have stuff on absentee ballots to say, hey, this is being done by either an interpreter or somebody helping you if you're that level of incapacitated. Fill out the ballot, but you still are the one who wants this. It's on every absentee ballot to let them know that there was assistance in the ballot. But allegedly, Alabama, because I gotta say allegedly because it's just a news article, y'all, has decided that if a neighbor came over to help, like Aunt Gladys, who's not so good with seeing the ballot anymore or has shaky hands because of stuff, with their ballot, absentee ballot needs, they could be facing criminal charges. Remember, this is also the state that tried to criminalize IVF until they realized that, oh, we're supposed to be the party that's pro babies. And now they don't want people even voting properly if they have to use absentee ballots. I don't understand why we keep letting these idiots do this to people. But you know, KI State is gonna keep doing what they want to do. It says the new Alabama law, which restricts who can fill out an absentee ballot application, comes as Republicans in several states have looked to enact new restrictions on voting by mail after Trump, of course, lost his bid for re-election in 2020. I need to remind you motherfuckers, while I do like absentee ballots and take full advantage of the fact that I can utilize them, if my state ever fucked around like that, if those GOP clowns ever tried up here to do that shit, I would still go to the polls. I would still risk it. Just like my freaking great great uncle who got hung for voting back in the day in the South. I would risk it because you will not silence my voice. You will not silence my choice. And you will not stop me from keeping that motherfucker out of our White House. Point blank, period. No matter what laws you pass against us absentee ballot voters, you will only enable us to come harder at you. I can't speak for Alabama residents, but you're not going to stop those of us who are civic minded from doing our due diligence. That is why so many of us took advantage of absentee ballots, even though the pandemic was still raging, even though we knew that there might be some shenanigans. Because our right to vote won't be suppressed by your antics. But they're making it a misdemeanor to return another person's ballot or help them out, and it's ridiculous. Republicans and the Alabama legislators named a key bill, a key priority for the year, and aim to get it in place before November. Gee, I wonder why. GOP lawmakers argued that a voter could still request help with actual voting, but the restrictions on absentee ballots was needed to combat vote. There was no fucking voter fraud. They still keep running with that same argument that, oh, there was voter fraud that got Trump, the man who literally caused death of millions of Americans through a preventable pandemic by firing the pandemic response team. Built America for millions by giving out fraudulent PPE to his friends and beyond. Risked national security by having secured documents in his unsecured private residence in Florida, and God knows what he was sharing with people abroad. But we're supposed to believe that, nope, it was fraud that took him out. It wasn't the fact that he was an incompetent idiot who should have never been put in our White House in the first place. I'm so sick of people playing games when it comes to voting and voter suppression. And this is why we have to come hard in November. Because if we don't, the GOP is going to clench power and they are never going to let it go. If you don't believe me, look at the shit they're doing against women. Look at the stuff they're doing against the LGBTQ. Look at how they're fighting us being able to vote securely. Because they never wanted a free and fair election. They always wanted us to just either be apathetic and let them get their way, or let only people who will vote their way so that they can restrict our rights have all the say and power. This is why if you're 18 and over, especially before the deadline in November to get registered to vote, you have to use your voice. It is so vital because these are the fucking shenanigans that they're pulling because they can't accept that they lost. I accepted in 2016 the worst loss our country had. It wasn't just a loss for Hillary Clinton, America lost 4 fucking years under that idiot. So when I say it troubles me that you have these people in our fucking representative positions in Alabama and beyond still trying to tout voter fraud, it's fucking BS. I knew we were in trouble too, Beans. I did a whole ass blog when I used to blog. I think it was on, what was that one? I forget the name of that blog site. I think it was Blog Space or whatever. And I said, because the Republican Party did not think grabbing them by the pussy was enough, did not think mocking a disabled reporter was enough, let him shit on the Gold Star family even before he was fucking elected, because they were a Muslim Gold Star family. Which, for those of you who don't know what a Gold Star family is when your son risks or gives their lives to protect other fellow servicemen in times of active combat. And Trump shit on them, disrespected them. Just like he disrespected the wife of one of those 4 fallen soldiers that we still don't know why they were in, I believe it was Kenya, and died. I'll never forget that woman, pregnant belly, hugging her husband's coffin. And when she got the call from the then president of the United States, he argued with her. You want to put that motherfucker back in power? Come on now. The fact that people say that there's a short list of people who can collect and transmit absentee ballots, they need to just secure the ballot boxes. They need to make sure that our post offices directly deliver our absentee ballots as well. There should be no fucking shenanigans when it comes to our right to vote. Yet this is the shit we're dealing with. And I'm over it. Welcome, Respect. Hey, it's good to see you again, hun. I'm just saying, I feel like too many people think that what's going on in Alabama can't happen in your neck of the woods. And it only takes a coalition of GOP fuckers to get together and say, how can we make something that has helped people who cannot get out to the polls still have their right to vote be more restricted? That is all they want to do. And I'm so glad you're back. I had to take a break because of health reasons, but the last few weeks I've been getting back into it, and I'm glad. I just feel like the Bonnet Chronicles are necessary, though I did put Tuesdays on hiatus until June because kiddo's graduation is gearing up, and I really want to make sure that he graduates. He has been doing some, I don't need to really pay attention to this, I'm a senior stuff. You know, senioritis happens to all of us. It's been a few years since I dealt with it, but I gotta stay on him so that he graduates proper. But I'm gonna move on from the voter thing because we definitely want to talk about more GOP shenanigans. Apparently the RNC is on some fuck shit again. Oh, that was the litmus test. Let me get this down. I did that last week. What was the story I wanted to highlight after no, it was the voter fraud nonsense. Okay, let me get this one up because even though the litmus test pissed me off and I talked about that last week, I'm not shocked by it. They only want people loyal to 45, and it doesn't matter how dirty he did our country. They want people who will kowtow to his tantrums. And it's shameful. Like I said, Republicans are busy focusing on fighting voter fraud instead of winning elections. This is by Hayes Brown. And it highlights how ridiculous the Republicans are being right now because they seem to think that their shit is safe. They seem to think that we don't remember that Dobbs was repealed by Supreme Court that's heavily slanted towards Republicans. They don't seem to think that we don't understand that what's going on with us not being able to provide proper ceasefire documents or even get proper humanitarian aid to both Gaza and the Ukraine isn't being done by our GOP led House and our split Senate where the GOP can still stymie, even though we have a slim majority. I honestly am sick of their antics, but I'm not surprised because they got nothing else going for them but to push the lie that voter fraud is happening. It's not that our candidates are wackadoos in state and local election. It's not that we're back in a literal grab 'em by the pussy, ran our country into the ground for 4 years motherfucker who also committed treason on January 6, 2021. No, it has to be voter fraud. It can't be our fault. Said another person has been sentenced for committing voter fraud during the 2020 election and once again was on the behalf of a Republican candidate. So yeah, there's voter fraud, but the answer and the call is coming from inside the House GOP. And you know that. But you still want to run with the narrative that nope, Dems are busting in migrants to vote. And all the other fucking lies that Fox propaganda channel pushes. When they know that the only real acts of voter fraud have been fuckers on their side. They can't win elections any other way but to be perpetual victims. So they lie and they create this bullshit narrative. And their side eats it up. Oh yeah, there's no way our candidate who literally uses a flamethrower in their campaign videos and shoots off AR-15s and talks about restricting my rights if I'm a woman could ever lose to a candidate who just says, why can't people live? Why can't people be? Why can't we be in America for everybody? No, it can't be that the wackadoo hardliners are losing because we're all sick and tired of them. It's gotta be voter fraud if you're a GOPer. No other excuse. Nope. It says that an Iowa woman, Kim Taylor, no relation to my ex, was sentenced to 4 months in prison on Monday after a federal jury convicted her last year on more than 50 counts of voter fraud. So this bitch was out there pretending to be a bunch of people as part of a scheme to help her husband in the congressional primary of a county supervisor race. So she didn't even risk it for like the big guns. She literally tried to commit voter suppression, well, voter fraud on behalf of her husband who was running for stuff. The Stepford wife syndrome, y'all. No matter what, President Trump claims actual incidents of voter fraud are extremely rare. The incidents come to light in the aftermath of the 2020 election where nowhere near widespread enough to swing a presidential election, let alone most down ballot races. Taylor's case, one of those rare incidents, highlights the supreme irony of the GOP's obsession with voter fraud. In many cases, knowing fraud has been prosecuted since then have had Republicans as perpetrators. According to the prosecutors, Taylor helped fill out voter registrations and absentee ballots for members of the Vietnamese that always exploit in the Asian community. You know, Georgia threw out a lot of Asian American ballots because they don't see Americans unless you're straight, white, and Christian. And it's sad that they exploit these communities of people who just want their right to vote. This woman took it upon herself to forge ballots on behalf of these people for her spouse. Yeah, people want to talk about the Democrats and stuff, and I'm not saying they're perfect. I just took a chunk out of Eric Adams for not fucking doing his due diligence. Even though I still think it's funny how they hold Democrats to a high set of standards as well. As a pragmatist, I am all about people wanting to get the work done, but I don't like scammers, and this shitty woman is a scam. She was abusing the trust to increase her husband's votes total. Her case is an example of the sort of voter fraud. I don't want to personalize. Get out of here with that. Right-wing grifters have insisted is rampant among Democrats. In reality, many of those supported cases are entirely legitimately used to drop boxes and other proved early voting techniques that lean Democrat. And they're used but exploited by Republicans. I only use my Dropbox for absentee ballots that are mine. My husband does, and kiddo does as well. Well, soon he will. I know he's still on the list to go in the polls. We're going to fill out the paperwork so that he can get absentee ballot because he gets to vote in his first presidential election in November. We're all excited about that. I feel like too many people have utilized voter fraud on behalf of the GOP, and they always try to be like, no, no, don't look at us. It's all the Democrats. And we have got to stop indulging them in this fuckery. I feel like enough of us know the real. We've watched how that one black woman who, even though she was paroled and even though she thought she was doing the right thing, got literally charged in Texas for committing voter fraud by voting. Versus these people who are literally using dead people, who are literally exploiting communities to steal votes, accuse our side of doing that. And this is why we have to be vigilant. And we have to be vigilant because we have a president who is literally under the gun because of what's going on in Palestine right now. And I definitely wanted to bring this up in more political news because I feel like the fact that President Biden has been really trying his hardest to navigate what's going on in Israel and Gaza, trying to get aid, trying to deal with the fact that humanitarian atrocities are being really rained down on innocent Palestinian people while Hamas is still holding hostages. And how he's trying to navigate standing by the Israeli state without shitting on the Palestinian people, but it's hard. And a lot of people want Netanyahu gone because I don't know if you understand that attack last week on both the humanitarian aid workers for this, I believe, World Kitchen, and then the blowing up the Iran embassy in Damascus is now bringing Iran into the fold, and they are ready to go into the conflict now. Netanyahu has turned what could have been a hostage negotiation, which several countries had to deal with. When I was a kid, we had to deal with a hostage crisis in Iran. And President Carter had to negotiate the freedom of several hostages. Israel decided that they were going to have armed conflict against Hamas. That was Netanyahu's call. And now, because of it, they're blowing up embassies, thus forcing countries who are already tensing on edge from last month's attack on aid from Iran, Iraq, and several other Muslim countries to Palestine, where innocent people got killed and aid workers were also harmed and killed. Now Iran has proper reason to enter the fray. This shit is blowing up, and I don't want to see another World War III. I feel like it is imperative for the president to tell Netanyahu that if you want our continued support, you have to stop these humanitarian crises. You have to allow us to provide aid to the innocent Palestinians. And you have to try your damnedest to cease fire. But I'm sick of people blaming President Biden for stuff that's going on in another country because he's supposed to handle all the shit that we got going on here and be everybody's fucking daddy across the globe. That's not how politics work. Geopolitics is a tricky situation. We are not providing military to either Israel or Ukraine right now. We are just providing aid to those countries. And we already have a Congress acting like a bunch of buffoons about it. And it doesn't help when presidents of said states, like Israel, behave in a manner that innocent people have to die because they're not smart enough to negotiate a hostage return. I'm sick of this. And I'm sick of us being dragged into this when we literally have our own problems. But what was going on in Israel right now has been wild. I can't even stress enough that the constant humanitarian, literal atrocities, literal war crimes, if we can be honest, are going on. And it feels like so many of our hands feel tied by this. Because while we want a ceasefire and we want Palestine to be rebuilt with fairness, that two-state doctrine that almost got passed, and it needs to be fair to the Palestinian people, because I know it's going to be more than fair to the Israeli state. We can got to just stop blaming every other country for what's going on there when they have their president. He should be the one under the gun, especially if he brings Iran into the conflict. But I'm going to go from the more serious to a bit wackadoo stuff. Because as y'all know, on Monday, the solar eclipse is about to happen. Let me get that picture up, because I thought it was a really fun picture. April 8th, 2024, we are going to get a rare solar eclipse event. And of course, people have been speculating on what it means, what it's all going to be about, and I have laughed and kind of side-eyed some of this stuff, but there was a TikTok compilation, because Lord knows TikTok got to do what it got to do. And I'm going to bring that up because, as you know, I don't go on TikTok. I am too old. I would get absolutely nothing done. YouTube is enough a distraction as it is. But let me get this up, y'all, because it's wild the amount of nonsense that these young people have been spreading on TikTok about the eclipse. And I'm going to give my commentary because, yikes. But this young man, Ian Laura Astro, did a compilation of this. So I'm going to bring it up, do some pauses, do some commentary, because it's wild, y'all.
Nope, this was never supposed to happen.
We have the devil's comet.
If you believe we are living in the last days, follow or subscribe now for more.
We're living in...
And before he even gets started, they are literally spreading the rumors that we are living in the last days. This comet on April 8th is going to be the devil's comet. It's going to usher in the apocalypse. It's going to be comets raining down from the sky. I think we might at worst get a solar flare, but that's just me. And let me tell you, as a spiritual pagan, it's not that I wanted to believe in this, but these people have been crying doom and gloom for so long. They've been hoping for the end of days for so long that you can't even take them seriously, because why would you want that? Why would you waste your time and energy predicting something like that? It's just an eclipse, bro. I've lived through several of them. I'm over fucking 40. I'm 50 in 3 years, actually. You've been through eclipse. I know this is supposed to be a rare one that only happens every 20 years, but eclipses happen, man. We just had a lunar eclipse last week, I believe it was. So why get so bent out of motherfucking shape over the eclipse? I just don't know.
The end of times. The end is near.
Follow and subscribe. Hey friends, today we're gonna dive into the incredible world of TikTok
Agreed,
conspiracy
Beans.
theories. And this edition is gonna be...
That's the thing. After watching that John Oliver special, and I will turn it up. After watching that John Oliver special on Netanyahu especially, the dark money, if you follow the money trail to how Hamas even gained power in Palestine, it's fishy. It's almost like he wanted that group to run the Palestinian government so that he could have an excuse. And it makes me sad, because the only people getting hurt in this are innocent civilians, and I'm fucking sick of it. But I'm telling you, this solar eclipse stuff was wild. I was listening to another streamer. People were in his chat going nuts about this stuff. And it's just like, I know people wholeheartedly believe in this, but I don't understand why. So we're going to definitely play this, because some of these TikTok things are off the hinge.
Eclipse conspiracy theories. There's a whole iceberg you can go down.
I
You
turned
can
it
go
up,
down
and
the rabbit
hopefully it's
hole of
loud
all
enough.
different kinds. There's fun ones, like birds aren't real and they're surveillance cameras.
Wow.
Ones that make you question how intelligent we truly are.
Okay,
and then there's
good.
ones that are just plain fun to watch, like an episode of Ancient Aliens.
Ancient astronaut theorists.
I've never liked that
Historically,
show.
total solar eclipses were always viewed as something negative, like the end of times or like the end of the world. For example, in ancient...
But back then, people didn't have the internet. Science really wasn't a thing. So, of course, back then, when the sky got dark like that, and the sun was literally blotted out in the middle of the day, it was a bad omen. And the church used to jump on it, too. So you always had those people that thought, oh no, it's bad times. And then science became a thing, and people would get out telescopes and like, no, it's just a shadow of the sun, bro. Calm down.
In China, when a total solar eclipse was happening, they thought a dragon was swallowing the sun. So they would come outside and
It's a fun
be really
story.
loud and shoot arrows into the sky to ward off the dragon. Or the Vikings, they thought a wolf was devouring
Fenrir.
the sun. And so they would make loud noises to try and scare off the wolf so the sun could return. Today, in 2024, we know exactly what causes total solar eclipses. And yet, it still feels like we're living in ancient times where a total solar eclipse is making people freak out and think that the world is ending. Anyways, there's this whole line of TikTok videos that have been made recently because the total solar eclipse is getting lots of attention. And a lot of the times that devolves into creating really bad, really dumb, and really ignorant conspiracy theories. We're going to go ahead and watch a couple of these. My wife actually found a bunch of these and sent them to me. So all of these I'm watching
and
for the
it's
first.
funny. It feels like that's a lot of couple makeups too, because I don't have a TikTok, but Axiom Wolf has a TikTok, so I don't watch. And he'll show me like on his phone and stuff, different TikTok videos, and it's like this is why, as a Gen Xer, I tease him about being a millennial, even though technically he's on the cusp of exennial, because he can sit through TikTok. I don't have the patience for it. And I love that a lot of YouTubers will have their spouses, especially their wives who are on TikTok, help them with these compilations, because it really does pull you in from what I hear. I know. People, I swear, maybe they are rolling back the rights for us women, so maybe that's why they think it's the end of times.
Time with you, so we're gonna go down this rabbit hole together and see what we discover. And one thing to note, please don't go after or seek out or harass any of these creators. Let's just
it's sad
laugh
that
at them.
people have to preface like that, but
distance.
please don't.
I'm telling you right now, something is not right about this eclipse. This is the path that it will take, and it will cross over with the eclipse that we had in 2017, making an X on the country. Right there by Carbondale, where the X meets, is Maconda. Just as a fun fact for Shiggles, this has never happened
Did
in
she
the United
just say
States.
Shiggles? I can't. I can't. She's already tried to drop why the X over us, instead of it just being the path that the shadow is going to make, is some big conspiracy against the country. But she just said Shiggles. Come on, TikTok. Go home. You're drunk.
We've never had two solar eclipse paths cross over on
I
one
think she was
count.
too. I remember sharing stuff
I'm
on
Shazza,
Twitter.
co-founder of
Oh
Our
my
Place,
gosh, you
and this is
too.
how we created the award-winning Always Pan.
No, thank you. I have an
Oh
actual
my god.
pizza stone.
Did she really say that? I love that she says this is a fact, like fun fact.
Just as a fun fact, this has never happened.
That's happened all the time. Look at this map of all of the eclipses in the 1900s. Look at this one right here.
Made
You
an
can
X in
see
the
two
70s.
eclipse paths going over the same town. Actually, a bunch of eclipses have gone over.
Now, what I did find interesting is that there is a giant city-state park inside of Maconda.
Okay.
Are we waking up giants?
Is she gonna start
Oh
talking
no.
about giants?
She's one of them
Now,
giant
Maconda
people.
translated to South African means little ones.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Give me a moment. Because I remember a couple of years back, because they had the giant bones hoax. And I almost fell for that shit, because I was like, biblical times, there's supposedly Nephilim and all that stuff. And there were supposed to be humans that made it with angels and made giants. And I know that there are humans that could literally get up to 8 feet. But this shit that these conspiracy theorists have about waking giants that are sleeping in our earth during a solar eclipse, bitch, there have been solar eclipses for centuries now. You would think that the giants would be walking among us, our overlords, if that was the case. And she's throwing South African terms in there, so I'm side-eyeing her.
Are we the little
They
ones
really
and
are
they're the big ones
Raven
coming when
Divine,
the eclipse
dear.
happens? Now, maybe I'm wilding out. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe there's nothing
You
to
are
this.
wilding out.
Maybe you're tripping. You're definitely tripping.
I agree.
You are freaking out, man.
Why have they already predicted a historical chance of cloud coverage on the day of the solar eclipse?
Because clouds
Since when
happen?
do they predict cloud coverage 2 months in advance?
Maybe they predict cloud.
We legit have meteorological services, ma'am. I don't know about you, but I go on the weather thing almost daily because I answer questions. They plant a tree in my name. It's fun. But we have a thing called technology. I mean, you're using it to be on TikTok. So why don't you think we can't use technology to not even predict, literally see where the clouds are shifting?
coverage
I'm
2
trying
months
to
in
be
advance
logical
because
and
people want to
logical.
see the eclipse and want to have the best chance at seeing the eclipse. Cloud cover 2 months in advance? No. They've never done that before in history.
The fact that there is a giant city-state park right outside Sewanee National Forest, which is known for Bigfoot sightings, is suspicious. So are
Now
the
Bigfoot.
clouds a attempt to hide the eclipse from us so that we don't see what happens in the shadows?
She's like combining conspiracies here. She's combining the conspiracy
combining
that giants
idiocy.
are real, and she's combining Bigfoot into like one mega conspiracy, and then government is like hiding stuff from us.
The truth is out there,
If
y'all.
this is satire, she's done a really good job of fooling me.
Nope, this was never supposed to happen, as this deadly biblical warning is happening in real life in less than 1 month, and life on this planet may no longer exist.
This one is starting off so strong.
It probably
the
will.
dramatic music, the confidence. Wow. Oh my gosh.
People were terrified after scientists reported a haunting celestial biblical event that will hit Earth in just a few weeks. And our Earth could face a supernatural divine ending, as we are seeing signs of this starting with no way to stop it.
If he knows that the world is
What
ending, he
is
seems
sign,
so
bro?
calm about it. Like the scientists, they found out the world is ending. What do I do? What do I do? I'm gonna make a TikTok video.
On April 8th, 2024, a solar eclipse will shroud the US into darkness, and scientists were shocked as it's reported to be passing through biblical towns like Jonah, Texas.
Who are these scientists?
Okay,
Like, I want to know.
I need to really stop right there for just a second, because biblical towns, it's not just hitting the Bible Belt, first of all, and this is like the sandwich board guy that we used to have in NYC with the end is near. I don't understand why this has got to be a big deal, bro, but you're saying that it's only hitting biblical towns? I'm pretty sure that line goes through like the lower half of Michigan, and if you know, you know. There's not that many biblical towns all over my state right now, so I okay, go off, I guess.
Where he's getting this information.
The same name that the Bible mentions in Matthew
I hope
chapter
you
12,
enjoy the
saying
eclipse.
there will
I don't
not
think it's gonna
signs
be
of the end
apocalypse
except
respect.
for the prophet of Jonah. The eclipse will also engulf several other biblical towns into complete darkness, like Rapture, Indiana.
Dude, if the rapture happens in Rapture, Indiana, I bet you the person who named that town is just like, yes, I knew it.
They got messed themselves, but I already said on Twitter a few times when I used to be on Twitter, let it happen. Let their rapture happen. We heathens will take over the earth, make it a better, more prosperous place, and they can have their whatever paradise where they all fight each other over who's got more or who does what. Let the rapture happen on the 8th. I'm okay. I'm pretty sure the rest of us will be fine. Like I said, no disrespect to you if you really believe in that shit, but you'll be happier with your ilk up there or wherever you go, your conscience goes with your rapture. The rest of us will continue to protect our Earth, continue to live just fine, probably a lot less bigotry and weirdness. I mean, I don't see the downside of it.
I knew it.
And right to the exact location of where Noah's Ark was rebuilt, Williams, Kentucky. The Bible in Luke 17 also warns us of a great flood ending all of us.
The way he says
I mean,
flood,
the rain and
great
snow has been
flood.
crazy,
and then
but come on,
the
bro.
music just hits such a sharp, scary note.
May no longer exist, starting with no way to stop it. Of a great flood ending all of us.
That was so good.
And April's eclipse is rumored to be passing through our constellation Cetus, representing our ocean.
So he says the eclipse is rumored to pass through the constellation Cetus. What rumor is that? Like, you know exactly what constellations are going to be behind the sun when the eclipse happens. But no, it's a rumor. They don't want you to know that the eclipse is happening.
Ocean gonna
near
go
the
cray cray,
constellation
y'all. Be
Cetus.
careful. Learn to
If you know
swim.
that, you know the end of times are coming. Or, you know, maybe giants are coming alive.
Are we waking up giants?
That's great.
Maybe the
Well,
giants
no, not to make
are the
fun.
ones that are causing...
I will say earlier when we got the news that New Jersey had a 4.8 earthquake, I was a bit like, oh crap. Because, you know, I love REM and It's the End of the World as we know it was playing in my mind when I heard that. Because that's great. It starts with an earthquake, bird, snakes, and airplanes. And we already have the Bowen shit going on too. But, like I said, I do not feel like Monday is going to be the end of fucking times like some people want to predict it. I just think that these things happen. When I was a kid on Staten Island, we had a tremor happen. We weren't even sure what the fuck it was. We thought maybe there was an accident outside. No, there are fault lines everywhere. It's just more prevalent on the West Coast than it is the East Coast. It's not the end of times, y'all. You gotta calm down. There's logical scientific relevance for all of this.
The end of the world. No, but wait, he's saying it's a flood.
Flood.
I'm getting my conspiracy theories mixed up here.
And that's another
How can we
thing.
ever top the ones that we just
Any
watched?
of us who read the Bible
maybe
knows
this one
that
will. Let's
God
find out.
promised that there would be no more floods. There would never be a great flood to take over the earth ever again. But these people pick and choose what they want from the Bible. They pick and choose things that they want to utilize to spread their conspiracy beliefs. Exactly. We all see, Raven, what's going on in Africa even. A lot of the land, because of the fault line and the tremors, have collapsed in, and the continent is literally being split in half. So for people to act like this is some weird end of days, demons are going to come on from the eclipse, and it's going to be rapture time, I just wish that we were as smart as the technology we have, because it feels like our tech days, the digital dark age that we're in, people are collectively becoming stupider, and it doesn't make sense.
It's a broken world.
I don't like The Walking Dead no more. They killed Carl. Get out of here. Oh Lord. Now they're tied into Egypt. As you know, I wear my arm.
What the hell
Gotta be
is
trolling you
this?
with it too, because I'm a nerd.
It's like some.
I
It's
don't
like some high school
understand why
video
these
project.
people doing stuff like this.
What am I watching?
What was that?
What did you send me? What is this? It's like a movie trailer.
It really is.
One eternity later.
These two eclipses, 7 years apart, will form an X on America, intersecting in a very interesting small town in southern Illinois.
Remember
I
what
think
we
you should have
heard?
stuck to the
This
movie
has
clip.
never happened.
X marks the spot. Something bad is coming.
And do you know the name
Yeah, a
of this
bunch
town?
of dumb people think it's
It's
gonna be the end of the
Little
world.
Egypt.
That's always bad.
So,
Super bad.
we know the pyramid is our enemy.
Why is the pyramid our enemy? He says this like we know.
The pyramid is not our enemy, but I know that some people think it's an Illuminati conspiracy. Why does the US dollar have a E pluribus unum and a pyramid with an eye on it? Because our founding fathers drank a lot and thought it was a cool design. For fuck's sake, we've had it for centuries. But everything's gotta be conspiracy. But actual pyramids were burial places for the pharaohs. Calm it down. And somebody who really, a lot of my practices is based on Egyptology, I just really laugh at the fact that a lot of these wackadoos are anti-pyramids. Like, but your relatives, especially if you're like related to the Brits and stuff, go and dig up those tombs all the fucking time. So you can't be anti-pyramid when you exploiting pharaoh's bones and sarcophaguses and stuff. So miss me with saying that the pyramids are evil. Stop watching Ancient Aliens and get some actual books in your life.
What he means when he says that.
The
Like, I don't
intersection
even
of this
understand that.
century's solar eclipses will be about 100 miles from where those of the 19th century crossed paths. Just 3 months after the second solar eclipse, a series of devastating earthquakes struck along the New Madrid fault line. Could the upcoming completion of an X
tectonic
across the
shifts
U.S.
and
midsection by the
faults
April
aren't a
8th,
thing.
2024 eclipse point to another catastrophe in the months after?
I like that the video just ends abruptly with the.
I think the phone pieced out by how stupid it is, because natural disasters continue to happen, will continue to happen. As long as we live on Earth, there's going to be natural disasters. I honestly think sometimes Mother Nature gets just sick of us. Humans, we're not taking care of things properly. We're not growing things properly. We're still cutting down things. We're still digging up fossil fuels instead of going green and using more electric-based stuff. But rant aside, the fact that they think that any natural disaster that happens on April 8th or after is going to be tied to this supposed demon eclipse, it can't make theological make sense. You just can't.
Well, I'll chop this up so you don't have to sit through the boring parts, but the first 2 minutes of this video had no talking, just that uplifting
and why would you
music
use Chadwick
and
Boseman?
a bunch of like
the
X
man is resting in
symbols.
power.
And then the
Leave
guy
that man
starts
alone.
talking 2 minutes
How
later
dare you?
and tells us pyramids are our enemy.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of this one.
It's
it was
dumb.
very like
That's what I make of it.
cult
It's dumb.
sounding. It sounded like a cult.
As somebody who was accused
Why
of
is
being a
nobody
cult leader
talking about this
too,
about the upcoming
the
solar
nerve.
eclipse on April
That's
the
what
8th?
cult leaders
This
do.
is gonna blow your mind. Check this out. In Matthew chapter 12, Jesus says, "An evil and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, but no sign will be given to it except for the sign of the prophet Jonah."
Here we go again. The town of Jonah. We've heard this one before.
Jonah.
We're well versed in this one.
He
So
got
get
swallowed
ready,
by a
check this
whale,
out.
and now people are
The
using it
path
for
that the solar
conspiracy
eclipse will be
theories.
taken on April the 8th will literally be going through the towns of Jonah, Texas, several towns and cities named Nineveh, and also, get this, through Rapture, Indiana. If you believe we are living in the last days, follow or subscribe now.
No, I won't. Even if I got a TikTok, I
The
would not.
strategy's so good where it's like,
We're living in the end of times. The end is near.
follow and subscribe.
Follow or subscribe now. for
Why?
more.
If it's the
I
end of
love
times,
she's saying
why?
like, why is no one talking about this?
Why is nobody talking about this?
There's been like 3 videos I've already watched that talk about the same
Exactly.
exact thing.
The path that the solar eclipse is taking will literally cross over the city of Jonah, Texas.
It's no coincidence that this eclipse is going through 8 cities named Nineveh.
Do you guys remember the story of Jonah?
The prophet Jonah.
Of a great flood.
This is amazing here. So this
I
map,
hate to be that person, but I was kind of waiting for somebody that looks like me to try this nonsense. And so far, I'm proud of my people because I'm not seeing them in this compilation. I'm not saying that there aren't because I'm not on TikTok. I'm sure there might be compilations of black brothers and sisters who are out there thinking this too. But so far, except for that one Asian guy, I'm starting to see a pattern here of the people who believe this nonsense. And I'm just saying. I know I'm Jason in respect. Let me keep going because you never know.
shows all of the towns named Nineveh.
The path of the solar eclipse will be crossing over,
Oh,
including
she's got
cities
the
like
big
Jonah,
Jesus
Texas,
picture up behind her,
Rapture,
too.
Indiana, and the only 7 cities in the U.S.
They don't
named
want to show
Nineveh.
Jesus as
The
a
total
dark-skinned
solar
man at
eclipse is
all.
only going through 2 of the 7 towns. So if it's only going through 2 of the 7, what does it mean? Somebody tell me what it means. Somebody tell me what to think.
Free us from thought and responsibility.
So on April 8th, 2024, the United States is going to
Lord.
experience one last total solar eclipse before we don't have another total solar eclipse until 2044.
Hey, starting off strong, stating the facts. I love it.
Now we're going to talk about the end of the world and the possibility that the United States is going to fall under judgment due to these 3 solar eclipses.
Why is it always the end of the world with these people? At least the
Y'all
Bigfoot
can be
one
judged. All
wasn't
you
the
Trump
end of the
voters.
world. At least that one was just like
Make room for
giants,
judgment.
Bigfoot, maybe.
Unless we're talking about some supernatural end of the world Book of Revelation God stuff, but if he was going to do something like that, he would tell us he was going to do it, right?
Wait, is he going to pull up the passage I think he's going to pull up?
Matthew chapter 12.
In Matthew chapter 12.
In Matthew chapter 12.
Oh, place your bets. Let's see.
This is the United States after all 3 major solar eclipses. All 3 paths to totality are completely defined, and it almost looks like an A, right? There's also a little X at the end there, and if you put those 2 together, it almost looks like the first and last letters of the Hebrew alphabet.
We were way off.
Okay,
Totally
you
got
didn't
that
do
wrong.
the Matthew stuff.
This
but still.
motherfucker's going for the alphabet.
This is the Aleph and the Tav. This is the first and last letters of the Hebrew alphabet. If Moses brought the tablets down and on the tablets it said, I am the Alpha and the Omega, it didn't say I am the Alpha and the Omega. It said I am the Aleph and the Tav. April 8th, 2024, is God actually signing his name to the United States, the Alpha and the Omega?
He's putting the old John Hancock on the United States.
But did you get the God tramp
I have
stamp,
no
yo?
idea. I mean, how am I supposed to back that up? I can't back that up.
Is this actually going to happen? I don't know. You know, what? I have no idea.
Oh, we're
I'm
gonna
just
get
going to leave
tattooed.
that one as is and
We're
just
gonna
move on to
tattoo
the next one.
Here is the pattern that the 3 eclipses make over the United States, 2017
Lord,
to 2024. Huh. That's the Aleph, which became the A. You see how it looks like an A, right? Hold on. Huh.
If your pastor's preaching this, you need a new church. I'm not even joking.
Huh.
Get a new church. This is stupid.
I am the Alpha and the Omega.
What the?
I am the Alpha and the Omega.
It's just people looking for symbolism at this point. Oh my gosh. I feel like watching these, like I've seen so many of these now and I feel like I've lost
Brain cells.
all of my brain cell.
It's the final
final brain cell. Because not only do we have all of these planets line up in conjunction, and we have an eclipse coming, we have the Devil's Comet that's going to be visible during the 2024 eclipse.
I can't even do this. I gotta stop. I gotta stop watching these. Those were the ones I saw, and I saw a lot.
And I'm telling you, that was just a small compilation, I know. But I'm going to say it again. I'm so glad that he did not pick plenty of our people to be in this compilation. I know there's some out there. I know it. I feel it in my bones. I won't go on TikTok to see. But so far, everybody that was pushing that Jonah stuff, the Alpha and the Omega stuff, you know, I hate to say it, but when you lack the sun's kiss like some of us do, you tend to believe in the wacky cosmos theories. And I'm not saying we are alone in the universe. I don't believe that. I'm not saying there aren't divine things. No, I think as a spiritual person, I'm open to learning, to actually seeing, and to sometimes just believing in stuff. But all of these people that want to usher in our end, want to usher in an apocalypse, why? Like I said last week, and I mean it, what I've always taken from Revelations when I was evangelical Christian, feels like a lifetime ago because it has been me since I turned 18 and I decided to walk my own spiritual path. That Revelations wasn't just predicting the end of humanity, because it wasn't. It was predicting the end of the way people acted on this planet. The end of these negative mindsets, the end of selfishness, and embracing that the earth was our gift, that our planet is our paradise. That yous who want to act a certain way just to get into some afterlife and sit by God will never, probably never sit by God. You will keep reincarnating until you understand the gift that was given to us is life, and protecting this paradise, this beautiful planet that we were born on. Too many people instead, nope, we're going to have that rapture. We're going to have that apocalypse. It's the only way we'll get into the kingdom of heaven is by death and destruction. And if that is what you're trying to sign those of us who have been skeptical or follow a different path to join your little army of foot soldiers for fuckery in faith as it is, you're on your own. I don't feel that it's right to make people fearful of passing over as it is, because death is already the ultimate unknown. But I also don't like the fact that people think that the only way to get into the gates of paradise, which are here, it's our beautiful abundant earth, but you just want to sit by God so badly, is during the apocalypse. You can't make it make sense because it's illogical. You can't make it make sense because I refuse to believe that a deity would want such a ungodly incident to bring so many souls up to them when they could just snap their fingers if they wanted and bring souls up to them. I don't think that a divine being wants us to feel scarred and scared, that death is going to be upon us to bring some kind of peaceful existence. That is a thing that we humans do. We twist things. We take for granted the things that we have here while we're alive. I can go outside right now, despite some cloud cover, once it gets dark, and see big, beautiful stars. And know that while right now on my planet, I feel tiny at times, and I know what I'm saying that as a big girl, I'm not insignificant because I am here. I am alive. I am consciousness embodied in a human host. And that I don't want the destruction of this paradise just to sit by God's side, because God is always with us. And I think too many people who predict stuff like this just to get TikTok following or want fire and brimstone to rain down on us, they don't understand that they're severing their connection to the gift that was given to us. But I'm going to wrap this up, y'all. Thank you so much for sitting in. Beans, respect, welcome back. Raven Divine, thank you so much for sitting in. I hope that you enjoy the eclipse on Monday. I don't understand why people want this to be the end of times, but I don't think so. I got another novel to write, so if you can hold it off for another 20 years. Okay, thanks, bye. I will be on YouTube tomorrow for my Calling Out the Heifer / Fun on YouTube series that's been blowing up, y'all. Apparently, I pissed off the right heifer with it, and she helped my channel out a bit. Not gonna brag, but I am excited because I know she watches me. She knows she watches me. So I'm definitely going to be on YouTube tomorrow, live stream at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to call her out. But I will be back next Friday with another Bonnet Chronicles. We talk politics, we talk social issues, we talk news stories, and we try to have a little bit of fun. Thank you all for sitting in, and I will definitely see y'all next week.